Um, when was the last time you were at a Phillies game?
Oh man, that's a good question. When was I at a Phillies game? Did I go to a game this year? I don't think so. What? Oh, I went to a Sunday game the day that Harper hit the grand slam to
Okay.
tie it, and then
Mhm.
Stott hit the walk off.
Great game. Great game.
Before
Great
that,
game
I
up
go to
until
spring training every year, so I
yeah.
was at a spring training game this year.
The reason I ask because I think it's very interesting that the Eagles, and this always happens, the Eagles always outsell the Phillies that day that they do the open practice. But
Yeah,
this time, like you said, we had the alumni weekend. Phillies were hot, and for them to only draw around the same amount as the Eagles did for an open practice is kind of crazy. And I got to thinking this, and I think we talked about it, me and some of the CB guys, where it's like the atmosphere with the Phillies games just aren't there anymore. I mean, they still play the same games on the jumbotron. They still have the same bits. They still, you look at, really all they did was just hire a guy to play '90s tunes, in between innings and whatnot, which are really cool. Don't get me wrong. I love hearing Dr. Dre, but like you look at the Mets, and I'm sure you've seen it. The Diaz walkout from this weekend that
yeah.
got 5 million views on Twitter. You had today I saw Degrom. They just played Simple Man over the PA and whatnot. It's just you even Atlanta. A couple years ago, the freeze, which they still do, that took the nation by storm. And even down in Washington, they have, the president's race, which is I was there the other day, a couple weeks ago. It was cool. Everyone gets up for it. The Phillies, like, pizzazz or the and this kind of goes back to the broadcast too. Like, what do you think about the whole atmosphere? And that might be the reason because tickets are down 20% year over year.
Yeah, think about that place. They had that sellout streak going. It
Hmm.
was the place to be. How many people in the
Yeah.
Delaware Valley are married because they met somebody probably half lit in Ashburn Alley, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that place was the place to be. And right now, I mean, you go to that game, it was weird. I was at a spring training game, which, by the way, is the place to be. You go to spring training, that's the place to be. But you look around that stadium when you're in a spring training. Now, I get it's Florida, it's spring training, but you're like, I'm 45. I'm like, I'm the youngest person here by about 25 years.
Yeah.
And when I go to a Phillies game, it's very similar. And you're right, like they haven't really gone outside their comfort zone in that stadium. And now they've look, you walk around that stadium, there's a lot to do. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. There's things everywhere. I mean, it's an ADD trap. But for whatever reason, that has not made it the place to be again. And I don't know if that's because we just don't believe in the team. Maybe this team will start to get us there. I think if you get games there in October, you'll see that place rocking again. But the Kapler era and then the beginning of the Girardi here, people just have not believed in this team. And they bring in Harper. Kapler should be almost have a bronze statue for getting those teams to where they were. How the hell were those teams in any contention?
Yeah.
And then they get Harper. Part of it was like, I don't believe in this team. They get Harper, and it's like, I still don't believe in this team. So I don't know what it would take to get people to get out there other than consistent winning and belief that your heart's not going to get ripped out and stomped on,
I don't.
which what 07, 8, 9, 10, they had they didn't sell out right away in 07 and into 8. It was like halfway through 8, and then it carried over because at that point it was like, all right, we made the playoffs. Now we're good again. I think people need to have more belief that the team will not let them down.
There's definitely an argument, and I think it just goes with MLB being like they're just not really a great, they're kind of DOA. They're not really marketable to young people, but they do a great job of doing family friendly stuff. And back in '08, back in '09, it was not family friendly. I mean, I don't know how much you remember, but my buddies and I, we used to go down on the train, get, boozed
Yeah,
up and everything, and
it was,
go.
it was how many people met their significant other at that point, or at least had a one-night stand, right? I
It
mean,
was nuts
that
down
place
there.
was rocking,
Hmm.
and you didn't even get a seat. People just bought tickets. Hey, meet me at the Mike Schmidt statue, and we'll
Hmm.
go in, and
Yeah.
we don't even need seats for this
Place
place.
to be, yeah.